Hey paisanos, it's the Super Captain Star Super Show. I'm here to talk about another topic that I normally don't touch upon, and that is a cartoon. Most of the time I just focus on video games and stuff, but this time I want to talk about a specific cartoon called Adventure Time. And overall, I have a very mixed bag of opinions on the show. Mostly angry opinions. Overall, I want to say that I very much dislike the show. And in some factors, I hate it with all of my guts. But that's only because I care about the show a lot. Deep down inside, I want the show to be very good. You know, I have this huge expectation. I want to say it has expectations that never fulfilled for me. So, on a personal level, none of what I'm saying, I just come from more of a disappointed disposition, and I really want to explain what exactly disappointed me on this show, and what exactly makes me so angry about the show. I'm going to start with Finn's whole character, just to establish what exactly I think about the show, and what exactly makes me so mad about it. When first watching the show, I would say I didn't have a very good first impression of it. I thought it was pretty obnoxious, seeing as so much of it was just random humor. You know, it still mostly is just random humor, but more of just spontaneous fun for the fun of it, which is not that bad. I mean, nowadays I kind of wish that the show would go back to that kind of formula with some of its deeper meanings, but as the show went on, characters developed, and plot lines were fulfilled. Mostly just deep. It became more of a deeper show, connecting to people, rather than just simply being an adventurous tale of a boy and his shape-shifting dog. And I didn't necessarily. This isn't what disappointed me, actually. Seeing as my expectations were so low, seeing it go in this direction actually kind of hooked me onto the show. So much of this whimsy and fantastical wonder actually kind of got me into seeing where exactly could they take this cartoon. You know, something so primitive could be turned into something interesting and compelling. So naturally, I was enamored. Finn as a character also grew onto me, and Jake. Seeing him grow as a character was interesting. I even became so attached to him because he just seemed like a normal kid, you know. Well, normal subjectively. I mean, compared to the world that he was raised inside of, being the only human being, well, the second human being if you count Ice King. But really, where my problem starts to stem is the blending of themes in Adventure Time. And that is the themes of each episode and the deeper meaning behind them. And as the show goes on, you clearly see that the show becomes less about the adventure and more about the hidden meaning behind them. So, for example, Finn confronting an enemy and the ethics of confronting that problem or that enemy become the focus, and Finn's way of coping with it and the help of his friends help the audience feel better about any problems or thoughts that they might have on a similar subject, or compels the audience, if they hadn't felt that feeling before, to imagine themselves in the shoes of Finn confronting this problem. And that's where the seeds of where I'm going to go with this is going to come from, is putting myself in the shoes of Finn's experience and his interactions with a specific character. And I'm going to start off my gripes with what will consist of the main theme of my video, is Finn's relationship with Bubblegum Princess and Flame Princess. and where most of my problems come from the show, and my what would become problems in the show's structure in general, which I feel like started around the time that the Flame Princess arc came about. So, I haven't watched the show in a bit, but I can say that Bubblegum Princess isn't exactly my favorite character. In fact, I'd have to say that she's one of my least favorite characters. She seems, at no point does she seem very appealing to me as a character. Not manipulating Finn, but clearly she is like, in the beginning, it doesn't seem like she has any interest in Finn other than his ability to help her and assist her in her dictatorship over candy. And now, don't get me wrong, it's not like those candies have any independent thought of which to govern. She pretty much just created them, but let's not kid ourselves. She's a fucking dictator. I don't think those candy voted her in. But anyways, I'm going to continue calling her a dictator or a mother. I refuse to call her a princess, seeing as she created her own kingdom. I'm going to have to ask you to forgive me because I refuse to call her Princess Bubblegum. She's clearly Bubblegum. She's clearly the Bubblegum Princess, and I refuse to call her anything else. But anyways, Bubblegum Princess is a big problem for me in the show, and generally has to do with her dissociation with Finn and her friend zoning of him, which is the start of the conflict with Flame Princess, where she tells Finn that they're mainly just friends. She could even consider him a brother, which would explain why she finds the concept of Finn loving her kind of a taboo in her mind, calling it weird, and is clearly uncomfortable by Finn's advances onto her. So Finn, of course, is heartbroken, poor guy, having been denied by his sweetheart, which I thought was going to be a thing. She seemed like the kind of character that would just be Finn's love interest. They had interacted so long. A lot of Finn's adventures were to impress and to help Bubblegum Princess. You know, a lot of what Finn did was for her sake, and she doesn't even give him a chance. You know, it's very sad to see that because Finn clearly really, really likes Bubblegum Princess, and even throughout their interactions, you can see that he secretly wants to know what it feels like to love her, you know? And I don't know, it might be just my personal feelings leaking out into this, but it just feels a little mean-spirited that Bubblegum Princess would outright deny him. But, you know, it's very real. I can't really help that. It seems pretty realistic of what an actual chick would react to Finn's type of guy. And so Finn naturally is upset. Jake tries to find him a bunch of waifus, where my waifu of choice ends up. I fucking love Frozen Yogurt Princess, and I wish she was in more. But you know what? I would rather they not tarnish the perfect image I have of her in my head. But anyways, Finn finds each and every one of them not as good as Bubblegum Princess, which is actually really fucking depressing, finding that he's so empty without her. I mean, I feel like Finn, I don't understand what Finn sees in Bubblegum Princess, to be honest. She seems like such a callous character. Of course, she seems to care for Finn on a motherly level, or like on a friend level, but she's more intelligent and methodical, apathetic in a scientific way. And especially later on in the series, where they further develop her character, it seems that she becomes less and less of a human character and more of a strange doctor type character. And even in her kingdom, creating her own friends and such, and her assimilation with the elements, which is a whole other can of worms. Generally, I feel like Finn could do better than Bubblegum Princess, and he does kind of when he finds Flame Princess from fucking Grimbo or whatever that flame guy's name. Flambeau, yeah, that's his name. Fucking Flambeau, I swear to God. They find Flambeau, and Flambeau's like, hey, I know where's I can find you good waifus. I browse 4chan's, come on. And so he takes them down to 4chan land, which is a burning garbage fire of a kingdom. And he casts what may perhaps be the start of my gripes, which is the fire protection spell, which he casts on Finn and Jake. Now, I'll get into this later. I want to keep a coherent theme. But anyways, as he enchants them, they're able to traverse into this land, and they find the Flame King and such, and they challenge him and shit and all kinds of stuff, and basically a whole bunch of shenanigans happen until the king is like, hey, fucking date my daughter since you're so rad. And Flame Princess at first seems to be a very angry character, not very comfortable, but adorable nonetheless. She doesn't seem to be inherently malicious. She just seems to be simple and home raised. You know what I mean? Uneducated, as you will. And pretty much this presents a conflict as Flame Princess burns everything and shit, and Finn can't physically touch her or anything. Finn tries to damage control, which damages Flame Princess, and basically just creates the conflict that Finn and Flame Princess aren't compatible because she's fire and Finn is not fire. Well, she calls him water, but that's kind of dumb. But anyways, dumbness aside, it's still a pretty good metaphor for two characters that aren't compatible, and Finn's desperate attempt at finding somebody compatible for him. So on to the next episode, which is hot to the touch, which is right after the one I just discussed. Finn tries to persevere through everything and connect to Flame Princess despite the funk. Despite all of the downsides to Flame Princess, he wants to counter it, and he wants to give her a good try. Even if it's just on the surface, Finn really wants to put his heart into giving her a chance at a relationship, which is something that Bubblegum never did. I mean, just a testament to Finn wanting to give this such a big chance is another reason why I grew on Finn so much, is that he doesn't give up. He's a good kid. He's a good guy. And seeing him suffer like this isn't very appealing. Like, I know everything can't be a happy ending and life is hard and stuff like that. And this is a show about growing up in life. And all of its themes are revolved around suffering and dealing with that suffering. But there's a point where this has to be a cartoon and the lessons have to be real. And when the cartoon is real and the lessons are real, it just seems a little too real for me. An oversaturation of cold hard reality isn't very fun to watch. It's just depressing. And if I wanted to watch something depressing, I wouldn't have gone to a cartoon like this. So naturally you can find myself taken aback by all these creeping tones, these dark tones of loss and suffering. It didn't mend well with me while this was happening. And this episode continues to perpetuate that Finn and Flame Princess aren't compatible. But Flame Princess shows appreciation for Finn afterwards, that he would try so hard to help her become comfortable with him. And that is so sweet to me. Like, they become friends, or they become a relationship, I don't quite remember, but it just makes it seem like when they eventually become together, it's so sweet because it comes from them interacting together and wanting to come past this barrier between them, and it's so good. I love it. I love the idea of two people who aren't very compatible wanting to work past all of their flaws so they become better people together. But of course, this doesn't last either, and Bubblegum Princess comes back to separate them. Do some blot bullshit. I forgot what it was. I think it was that Flame Princess when she's too happy or some bullshit or whatever or some crap. She basically can't control her emotions and would probably scorch the earth of fire and shit like that. And Jake finished naturally like, hey, Bubblegum Princess, can you kindly fuck off? I think she's alright. And I personally feel like Bubblegum should have tried something other than, trying to confront Finn about leaving her or something or whatever the fuck she was trying to do. I feel like Bubblegum Princess should have just tried to create a solution to this rather than just telling Finn to fuck off. Like helping out Flame Princess deal with her emotions and to deal with her power and everybody to try and help her out. I mean, when you find somebody who has a bad habit or finds bad tendencies hanging around somebody, you normally don't tell that person they're hanging out with that they're wrong for hanging out with them. You tell the person to stop doing. You try to help the person to stop doing that, especially if it's going to harm the people around them and the people that they love. So I feel like that this could have been confronted in a whole other way, other than just outright saying that Finn can't be with her. It just seems so ludicrous to me, and it doesn't seem like it's very. They didn't think for the long term, or I don't even know what this is trying to convey. Like the other ones were like at least the other ones were kind of structured, but this one kind of confused me. I don't know. I haven't watched it in a while. I can say it was really the start of the decline for me. And then there comes the epitome, the crux of why I made this video and why exactly Adventure Time pisses me off so much. And it all comes to one single focal point, and that is the Red Throne. And the Red Throne has to be the episode that pisses me off more than anything in this God-created earth. Like, it completely baffles me how absolutely fucked up this episode is. And it all starts with... Well, I've skipped over some episodes, but they aren't constructive to my opinion. But this is where it comes together for me. So, we come to this conflict where fucking the Flame Princess is going to be usurped, whatever, in some plot. That's very secondary. And here comes what is perhaps the most baffling, the most confusing, and disappointing things ever. But the fucking cinnamon roll, the goddamn cinnamon roll, the cinnamon roll known as Cinnabon, or whatever the fuck his name is. This man, this creature, this amalgamation of milk, sugar, and eggs comes riding in with a flame cloak, a supposedly temporary flame cloak, riding on a flaming wolf, looking so rad, coming in to rescue Flame Princess with a lance on his back, like a knight in shining armor, like a bat out of hell. This man comes in and saves Flame Princess. Now, I forgot how he becomes even relevant to Flame Princess, but that is irrelevant, seeing as my point is, what the hell? This character, this joke character, all of a sudden is cool. Now, I understand that that's the joke. This nobody fucking character comes around and he's just a fucking cool guy. I understand. Very funny, Adventure Time. That's great. Woohoo, you made this guy cool. That's very nice. What? Okay, so like, Flame Princess, that's fine with me. He can be cool. That's alright. That's funny. You did a good job, Adventure Time. Woo, he's funny. What comes next is so baffling and so unsubtle that you might as well be... subtle might as well just have gone and fucking died. It had a heart attack and died. Because when they meet Finn and he's going to help out or fucking visit Flame Princess, he's basically just a third wheel, and Cinnamon Bun very clearly manhandles and keeps Flame Princess away from Jake, as though to say, stay away from her, and possessively keeps her away from him and shoots him looks. This fucking cartoon dessert is a possessive boyfriend of Flame Princess. Oh, it makes me so mad. Okay, so let's start with the flame thing. So Flambeau at that episode specifically said, "Hey, you guys, this fucking fire shield could only last for a very little bit of time. But as long as you're a cinnamon roll, it lasts forever." Woohoo! And Flame Princess can't be happy, and or else she'll burn everything, except if it's with a cinnamon roll. Then if she's in a relationship with a cinnamon roll, it's all okay. Oh, she can't. Oh, Finn is infinitely tried more, is a better person, has shown to have actual character depth and development. Not as much as the cinnamon roll, who's cool now. Isn't that funny, guys? Isn't the super awesome cinnamon roll cucking Finn the coolest fucking thing you've ever seen? I'm sorry. It's just so baffling as to exactly why they did this. And Finn is like they make Finn so incompetent in this episode, and it's so out of character. Like, normally Finn, yeah, he's a very carefree character and he's very awkward at times, but he's not shown to be incapable of handling scenarios by himself. And all of a sudden, he simply can't fight, or he can't do anything. He can't even discuss things like a civil person. He can't even handle the situation as it's happening. It's all because of the cinnamon roll. He comes in and fixes things. And he even gets jealous of Finn during this episode. But Flame Princess is encouraged by this, and she handles the problem all by herself, and it's all thanks to the goddamn cinnamon roll. I don't even know where to. So, not only did they basically throw everything out of the window for Finn on his whole trek and his whole arc to become Flame Princess's love interest, this guy upshows him in every single way. The writers even explicitly make it obvious that cinnamon roll is better for Flame Princess in every way, and has them hold hands. And even later on the show, like, it's not even a secret that they're together. It is explicitly implied that they are in a relationship later. And he even becomes the fucking fired thing. I don't even know. And it's so depressing. I think you know why. Because what am I supposed to get from this Adventure Time? You've shown so far that you're a show about growing up, right? You're a show about teaching people how to cope with things that make you upset, or things in life that are real, and life lessons. What am I supposed to take from this episode? This whole entire arc? What is this supposed to make me learn? That you shouldn't get in the way of somebody better than you that can make someone you want to love happier? That you should just be complacent? That somebody else can take your place? That you're supposed to feel happy that as that someone is happier than you are sad, so the world kind of balances out a bit, and you're okay with that. Your bicycle got stolen, but they're happier with your stolen bicycle than you are losing it. That is the fucking that is the fucking antithesis of this series arc. And it makes me so mad and so disappointed, and I get so I'm trying my best not to freak out right now over this. Every single time I think about it, I get so mad. And there are people who try to tell me that this show is there's people who try to tell me that this show is deep. And shit like this just makes me feel like that it's not. Now this encourages me to think that this wasn't thought out whatsoever. Rebecca Sugar probably presented this notion as a whim, or perhaps her final send-off before going off and doing her own thing, and the writers decided to take this other places and completely fails to portray the lesson that Rebecca and the other writers probably had established back in the day. So they made it a joke. Exactly why? I don't understand why did this happen to Finn. In conclusion, this is the reason why I hate Adventure Time. Like, I won't even lie. Everything else is paled in comparison. This show could be the very next masterpiece of all cartoons in its final episodes. And I will never forget the cinnamon roll. They can retcon the cinnamon roll all they want. They can retcon everything in this show. But I will never forget, and I will never forgive, the time that Adventure Time told us that getting cucked is okay, so long as the girl that was stolen from you is happier with the guy that took your place. It's okay so long as everybody's happy except for you. It's so mean.